Here until 12 o'clock. I'm joined on the phone by Fergal O'Keeffe, and Fergal is with MS Ireland, and he's here to tell us all about the readathon that's coming up. I think it's next month, but Fergal will give me the much more accurate information on that. Fergal, welcome to Dundalk FM.
Hi, great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you indeed. Okay, listen, we will be getting on to the readathon very shortly, but MS Ireland, tell me about what you do.
Yeah, so I suppose MS Ireland, it's the national organisation that provides information and vital services to support the MS community in Ireland. I suppose everyone would know someone with MS, multiple sclerosis. There's over 10,000 people. I suppose that's a conservative figure of people that have MS in Ireland. And what we do is we provide services, specialised services and resources on a national, regional and local level. But in every county in Ireland there are MS local branches. We have regional offices throughout Ireland, and then we have our head office in Dublin. As well as in Dublin, we provide the only national respite and therapy centre for people with MS in Ireland in Dublin. And then we also provide, for people who find out about MS, they often go to the ms-society.ie website. It's usually one of their first protocols, and then our information line, which is a major part of our service for people, when they first find out about getting information about what MS is and what our services are. And then right through the journey of people's life when they're living with MS, we provide locally, we have community workers throughout Ireland who do one-on-one services with people, helping them from the very start. And also then we have things like physiotherapy services, and something we developed, actually, you mentioned there about COVID. We've always been doing physiotherapy services, but then we started, like everyone else, we had to go online very fast once COVID happened. But it's something that we've kept on now. So a lot of those services, physiotherapy sessions, are actually online, which means the people, I found it very helpful because, they don't have to leave the house. And
accessibility is much easier.
Exactly. So that's a huge thing for us, and that's a service that we're actually trying to grow, so that we have that in every county in Ireland, or every regional district anyway. So as you can imagine, I'm talking there about all of those services, like from a national to local level that we provide, and it costs a lot of money to provide those services. And I suppose how we do that is, as well as government funding, the big thing for us, the majority, is fundraising. And the biggest fundraiser we have every year is the Readathon.
Yes. Now, some of the statistics now you've brought out, I've been handed in, I'm going to let you go through them, but I've been handed a printout here of the statistics you present with the upcoming Readathon in particular. Can you go through them for me?
Yeah, I found it really interesting because the Readathon, we've actually been doing it, would you believe, since 1988. Roald Dahl was the first person that launched it back in 1988, and then on the so this is our 37th one, and on our 30th one, his daughter actually launched that one, Felicity. So it's been going a long time. It's the longest sponsored reading initiative in Ireland, but what we love about it is as well as you're doing sponsorship for MS Ireland, it's also providing, getting kids to start reading and getting them to love reading. And that's something that we love, because, the amount of people that actually come up to me and they mention, when I say I work for MS Ireland, and they go, I know about I did the Readathon in school. So now, as you mentioned, it takes place in November, but it actually, they open the registration start in September this month, the 23rd of September. But also every primary school in Ireland now, probably this week and next week, will get their packs to participate in the Readathon. And it was interesting because we did a survey this year just to see sort of the benefits of reading, because as I say, we're trying to, as well as raise money, encourage children to grow in their reading and learn to love to reading. And it was interesting, the stat, it actually said, which was very good to hear, is 5% of parents say that there's increased creativity, imagination from their children who read regularly.
75%, some statistic though.
Yeah, isn't it? But what was really interesting is the saying that 78%, so nearly 8 out of every 10 parents encourage their kids to read once a week. And there was another research done by Cambridge University recently where they said over 50% of parents encourage their kids to read daily. And what they found from their research was that This leads to better cognitive performance, mental well-being, which is an interesting one, and even positive changes in the brain structure during adolescence. So actually reading from an early age helps your brain structure and brain development. It helps you, encourages you to read and hopefully get a love of reading, but it actually helps with brain structure. And interesting, from that research, I found it interesting anyway, was that by the age of 2, 80% of your brain is fully developed. And by the age, between the ages of 8 and 12, your brain is fully developed. And then it goes into decline from the age of 12 on.
I was going to say 12, yeah. It seems a bit low, does it not? Maybe it goes into decline?
Yeah, but you know what? I think what it is it's very, the reason why it goes into decline is because there's parts of the brain, there's things that are growing at the time that start to decrease. But what I think the important thing from that is it's saying that at a very early age, there's another research done by DCU that's saying that if kids are being read to before the age of 2, even the age of 1, that it helps them in their reading ability by the age of 9. So I suppose, just to give you a couple more stats, like from our own research, we found that parents were reporting 68% said improved concentration and focus by reading, and enhanced vocabulary and language skills 83% when there's a reading from an early age. And the same came with the Cambridge University and the DCU reports, studies. They found that as well, that being read to from an early age dramatically increases your ability to read at a later age. And it even helps with things like dyslexia by being read to or reading at an early age. And just say for our Readathon, there's many different ways that people can do it. And our website is msreadathon.ie. But it's not just myself, when I was, in primary school, early, when I was younger, I didn't really read books, but I was reading like Asterix and comics and so.
Shoot.
Yeah, exactly. Warlord, all those magazines, they were the ones that I used to love. And so even doing this reading, it can be comics, it can be books, or even now audiobooks. And audiobooks, I mentioned dyslexia, but for younger age groups, for people that might struggle, audiobooks are just as valuable as reading an actual book. And you can participate in the Readathon with audiobooks because you're learning new vocabulary, word structures, etc. So that is as valuable. So there's many ways that you can do it, but it's all very positive.
I would imagine, Fergal, that no matter how you get your reading material, how you get to be it audio or you read it yourself, it expands your world, and I think that's so important.
Totally. And the Readathon as well as the majority of people that do it are school age kids, but it's also for young adults. They do it now. They kind of keep going, and because on the MSReadathon.ie website, as well as you can, there's a number of ways you can do it, but you can get sponsorship cards or you can do it online. So we also now have adults that have kept going and they do it themselves, and that's something that actually it wasn't in any of these reports, but this is just me saying it, but as a parent. But reading in front of your kids, I think, is a great way of
setting an example.
Exactly, making it normalised. I mean, the Cambridge University one, they said, the optimal level of reading for kids, at that younger age is 12 hours a week, which I would go is quite a lot. I don't know how many kids are reading that much, but any level of reading definitely gives children a love of reading and normalises it. And that's a tricky thing in the modern world with
mobile phones, yeah.
Yeah, and also attention span. So, now they're looking at TikTok and all those devices, and they're getting their stories, and they seem to be getting short. The story is getting shorter and shorter now. Although that, on the other side of the coin, TikTok encourages people to read in one way because they've got these like online book clubs, and that's good. Because anything that encourages children to read nowadays is crucial.
It certainly is, and I don't think I've ever heard anybody saying, don't read that book, it's bad for you. I think there's only positives to be got by it. You mentioned as well, Fergal, and I just wanted to reiterate it as well, where online activity has taken over social media, and you mentioned TikTok and other social media outlets. It's so much out there that pulls kids away from reading. From your experience, and you mentioned 1988 was the first year that MS Ireland did this readathon, do you see an increase year on year of people participating?
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. So we've actually, like, just say, for instance, last year we had over 11,000 participants. And I suppose, actually, back in the earlier days, there would have been more participants. You know, the same as every charity in Ireland and businesses, I suppose. We were affected by COVID. So our numbers dropped around that time. And that's when we started doing people could start online. And we've kept that going. And now we're actually going back to the kind of traditional sponsorship cards in the schools, but also online. So it's funny how, like, as I said, 1988, I think we would have had, definitely, there's been millions raised in it, and I would go, there's hundreds of thousands of kids have actually done the readathon over the years. As I said, anecdotally, the amount of people that say to me, I learned about MS and I learned about MS Ireland when I started doing the readathon. And recently we've got this blog, MSME blog in MS Ireland, and one of our latest ones, the person was saying they learned about, because what we do is we go into schools and we do it online or in person in schools, where we go in and we talk about MS and what is MS. And a woman who did one of her blogs recently was saying that she learned about MS, multiple sclerosis, through one of those school visits, and then she ended up finding out that she, in her 20s, that she had MS herself. So it's a good way for us to, as well as doing the readathon, as well as the fundraising, it's to educate people about what is MS. And I might just let you know, just to let people know.
No, please do, yeah.
It affects a lot of people. So multiple sclerosis, what it is, it's a chronic neurological condition and affects the central nervous system. So basically, it disrupts the flow of information within the brain and between the brain and your body. So, it's those motor sensory cognitive nerves, a message is sent, but that is actually disrupted. So, and what that leads to is, fatigue, mobility issues, cognitive challenges. So, I think everybody knows somebody who's MS, but where it can be tricky for people with MS is, one day they're okay, and then they get a relapse, and then they're not as well, or they get fatigue. And physically, when you look at a person with MS, you might know that they actually have it, so that can be a challenge. But it really does affect, we would deal with people, so basically any person living with MS in Ireland, as I said, there's over 10,000, but it's also the families, their workplace, there's many areas where it affects. And, part of our work, as well as helping people, we also have an advocacy role as well, which is working with government for things like disability allowance and things like that, funding, etc. So, something like this, like the readathon, is crucial for us from a funding point and raising awareness for multiple sclerosis, I have to say.
It is so important, and funding, and I wanted to mention, and just before we go on that, as I understand it, MS is an autoimmune disease. Is that correct?
Well, it's a neurological condition, so even during the COVID times, it very much they had to be protected when that was there. So it's basically what it is I talked about the nerves sending the message down the body. So there's a fatty substance on the nerve. It's called myelin, and that basically conducts the message. And basically, when your body, the purpose of your immune system basically is to protect the body from infection. What MS does is that it mistakenly attacks the myelin, thinking it's a foreign substance. So that can then leave scars on the brain and on the tissue. So, and that's when they say it can come and go. So, I think it's the from my view of the neurological condition.
Yeah.
It's the biggest one in Ireland for young adults, from a numbers point of view.
From a fundraising point of view, and the Readathon, as you mentioned, is so important, and the funding goes to supplement a lot of the services you've highlighted that MS provides. Can you, research point of view, how are we on research? Are we working towards a cure? Is it something that there is positive news coming out? We've got great research and development going into various diseases and issues that people would have. As far as people living with MS, is there encouragement in the future? Are you aware of?
Yeah, very much. So, like, as I said, even if you think over the last 30 years, the developments from the point of view of medications and research it's dramatically improving each year. So, from the point of view of sort of younger people, when they find out they have MS now compared to the past, the amount of research that has been done over the years, like the help they have is dramatic. So from the point of view, like, for us, like, as well as the service that we provide, like, we have another fundraiser during the year, and that money goes towards, percentage of that will go towards, we would have links with the international MS societies around the world, and some of that funding goes towards international research, which, comes back to help us in the long term. So there has been developments from that point of view, and hopefully, that will be the goal. It's called the May 50K, the one that we do. It's an international one every May, and the goal of that is to cure MS, and we're not there yet, but it is a goal. But there is dramatic developments every year, and even things about diet and health, etc. There are developments all the time, so there are improvements very much compared to even 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
It's all positive in that regard, I suppose. From an age point of view, Fergal, we're running out of time now. We've just about a minute. From an age point of view, you can be affected at any age?
You can be affected at any age. The majority of people are diagnosed in their 20s or 30s, but there are even people now diagnosed in their teens. But normally it often happens people in their 20s and 30s. But, as I said, that also, the reason why that probably is, people were probably diagnosed at an older age in the past, but as research improves, the diagnosis and level of diagnosis is improving all the time as well.
Of course, no, it is good. Listen, we've got 35 seconds. Give me the details. If somebody wants to get involved in this readathon, give those details, please, Fergal.
Yeah, so the actual registration will open on the 23rd of September, and our website is MS Readathon, and Readathon is READATHON, so msreadathon.ie, and you can pre-register now, and we'll be emailing you then with information, or register on the 23rd of September, and it actually takes place then during the month of November. And as I said, there's prizes every week, and there's prizes at the end. There's all sorts of workbooks that can, if children are doing it, to help them to do it. All the information basically is on our website. But I suppose the most important one now is msreadathon.ie, and if you register now, we'll send you information all about it and what to do and how it can be done.
Brilliant. Listen, Fergal, appreciate you coming on. And 11,000 people last year. We're looking to blow that out of the water, I assume.
Exactly. That's the plan. We really want to grow it again this year because, it's as I said, it's a wonderful thing for us, because it's, we get so much out of it, not just financially with the fundraising side of it, but seeing kids learning to love reading. It's such a lovely thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and it'll sit with them for the rest of their lives. Fergal O'Keeffe of MS Ireland, thanks very much for coming on.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.
97.7